Good morning, guys. Today we're talking about Hamlet. As Hamlet is at page 134 and 135 of your book, you will find the plot in the first column. So read and learn the plot from there. As for the sources, Hamlet is not an original story, an original plot, but it draws inspiration from the story of Hamlet in Historia Danica, going back to the 12th century by Saxo Grammaticus, where the hero pretends he is mad to avenge his father's murder, and it is exactly what Hamlet pretends what he exactly does. He pretends to be mad at the beginning of the second act. Shakespeare kept the murder of the king a secret and used the ghost to reveal it to Prince Hamlet. But Prince Hamlet wants to be sure that, first of all, that the ghost is the ghost of his father. He is quite skeptical and he even doesn't believe in ghosts. He wants to understand anyway if the ghost is telling him the truth, that is, that his uncle, his father's brother Claudius, has actually killed him, pouring poisoned potion in his ear, and he wants to make sure that this is true before deciding to avenge his father's murder. What is the setting? The setting is the setting in time is the late Middle Ages. The story goes back to the 14th and 15th centuries, and the setting in place is the royal castle in Elsinore, a city in Denmark. So he has studied in Wittenberg in Germany, where Martin Luther started the Protestant Reformation. He is skeptical of the ghost, who claims to be his father's spirit wandering in purgatory, and purgatory was seen as only a superstition by the Protestants. So the main plot is the one where where Hamlet realizes what has happened, that is, Claudius has murdered his father, and that is revealed by his ghost. And so once he has actually realized that this is the truth, he pretends to be mad to carry out his plans to avenge his father, and that will go in the end, that will end with the death of the responsible and of the main character of the story, and with the re-establishing of the broken order. And there is also a subplot that deals with a possible war against Norway, and that gives a sense of menace from another country and creates suspense that increases the tension and establishes the mood, the atmosphere of the play. The main situation is that Hamlet is the Prince of Denmark, studies in Wittenberg, Germany, as I have told you, another Protestant country, and during his absence from Denmark, his father has died and his uncle Claudius has succeeded to the throne and married his mother. Hamlet returns to Denmark and is greatly upset, especially about his mother's quick marriage and his uncle's sitting on the throne. Hamlet has a strong, real psychological dimension, and this psychological dimension is mostly expressed through the use of language. Hamlet is the most talkative of Shakespeare's characters, and he especially talks through his monologues, also called soliloquies, that were particularly effective because of the position of the stage of the Elizabethan theatre in the middle of the yard, and of the tight relationship that created because of this reason between the protagonist and between Hamlet and the audience. So the real psychological dimension of the play lies in Hamlet's use of language, that is, in the ambiguity of his language. In fact, Hamlet doesn't express clearly his thoughts, doesn't express openly his ideas. Everything he says is conveyed through metaphor, simile, or wordplay, giochi di parole. That is, he doesn't say things clearly, and his words have a hidden meaning. The death of his father and the hasty marriage of his mother arouse melancholy, and through this melancholy, Hamlet sees life differently. Life changes its color and meaning. Love is deprived of its spiritual side, also because the love between Claudius and Gertrude, his mother, is dirty love, is a love against nature. And he even sees a contagious disease, una malattia contagiosa that spreads from men to the kingdom, from the kingdom to the universe. Well, this is also due to the chain of being that was at the basis of the Elizabethan world. That is, the Elizabethan believed in the existence of a chain of being that you can see in this picture, that went from God, that was at the top of this chain, to the inanimate beings. And the kings were at the top of the human level. The kings were appointed by God to embody order and stability. This was what the Elizabethan believed. So when this order was broken, when there was the murder of a king that disrupted the chain of being, collapse of order and the universal disaster followed. That is, at a certain point, even nature rebelled against against mankind, because the break of the universal order. And it was necessary to reestablish this order, and it is exactly what happens in Hamlet when he decides to avenge his father. He succeeds in doing that, and Fortinbras, the legitimate king, is elected the sovereign of Denmark. So the order is re-established. But let's go back to the characters. So, as for Claudius, he is Hamlet's uncle. He is guilty of killing the king, his own brother, and he becomes Hamlet's stepfather when he hastily marries his mother Gertrude, whom he ceased to love. Claudius is a man of action and doesn't show any moral doubts in committing his crimes. He manipulates everyone in the story, and he is the villain, the criminal of the story. But Shakespeare seems to demonstrate that he has a conscience after all when he tries to pray. The ghost is Hamlet's father, that is called Hamlet as well, and it is Hamlet's father that tells, that is his ghost that tells the truth about what has happened. That is, that Claudius has poured a poisoned potion in his ear. But Hamlet wants to be certain about that. He doesn't believe in what the ghost says, and so he doesn't he doesn't decide to avenge his father's murder immediately. The other important characters are Gertrude, that is Hamlet's mother and the queen, Polonius, that is the Secretary of State and also the father of Ophelia and Laertes, Horace, that is Hamlet's best friend and confidant, Ophelia, that is Hamlet's tragic love, and her madness contrasts with Hamlet's pretended madness, because Hamlet, at the beginning of the second act, pretends to be mad to carry out his plans more easily, and to make sure that his uncle Claudius is actually responsible for the murder of his father, and is also the usurper of the reign of his father. Laertes is a student at the University of Paris, but he comes back to avenge his father's death and finally kills Hamlet with a poisoned sword, but is poisoned by Hamlet in turn. So, what are the themes? The themes are revenge, the relationship with the family and between friends, action and inaction, that is to be in the famous line, in the famous sentence, to be or not to be, is the summary of the play. To act or not to act, what is more fair to do? To live or to die, to avenge or not to avenge his father. Madness is also another theme, and also pretended madness of Hamlet, life, death, and life after death, that is questioned, because Hamlet is a man of Renaissance, and is not conditioned by the medieval dogmas, and among all the doubts that he arouses, he also questions the existence of life after death, of that paradise, that heaven that the Christian Church promises to people who suffer. And another theme is reality versus appearance, and the meaning of the theater itself. In fact, he introduces the play within the play, that is not original but belong to the tradition, to the classical tradition that we especially find in the classic Latin playwright Seneca. That was the play within the play, that is the representation of the play inside the tragedy. In fact, Hamlet arranges for the murder of Gonzago a play to be performed at court to expose his father's murderer, that is, to demonstrate that his uncle is responsible. And in fact, when Claudius understands that he has been discovered, he rushes away. So, to conclude, Hamlet draws inspiration from the revenge tragedies of the classical playwright Seneca, and so a sexual or violent crime is committed against a family member, and revenge has to follow, but shows a greater psychological penetration in the character of Hamlet and focuses on the theme of doubt and uncertainty. So that's all for today. Bye.